I work and apply for disability. I'm tired of waiting. I want to go back to work. You know, like what are the options in that area? So we're going to kind of break that down. First of all, if you're going through the disability approval process, you are allowed to work and earn income up to $1,450 a month. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to get approved. That just means that you can apply. So Philip, I know you've been in touch with a lot of people, and I mean, have you seen people lately that are earning $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 a month and still been able to get approved?
Not very many.
Right.
There's been a few over the years, but I haven't, you know, you just have to take it into consideration. And I understand you gotta pay the electric bill, you gotta pay the water bill, you gotta buy groceries while you're going through the process. So, you know, you may not have a choice. You got to get out there and do something. But just be aware that that gives the opportunity for Social Security to argue, you know, that you're working, and if you're, depending on how many hours you're putting in, and you know, you can stay under the $1,450 a month, but if you're working 25 hours a week to get that, say $1,300 a month, well, that's hours. That's what I think it's 20 hours a week that they allow, right? Or the rule is 20 hours. But if you're putting in 25, then they may be able to argue, well, you know, if you have some different treatment, take some different medications, maybe the doctor prescribes some other treatments for you, you could put in 30 hours a week and support yourself. So it just opens up the argument for them. So just be mindful of that.
Yeah, no, those are excellent points. Now, there is another way to look at this. Let's say that you're feeling better and you want to go back to work and you want to just go into the whole full-time thing and you have an application going, right? So one of the questions or statements that we get from time to time is just, I'm going to stop my application. I'm going to go back to work. I can't take it anymore. So this is my position on that, is that you can stop your application, but when you stop your application, you're not able to recover any of the months that you've been out of work again, because that's going to basically be like a denial. So another way to look at it that I encourage people to do is this. Say, listen, okay, you want to go back to work? Great. Keep your application in place, go back to work. Let's see if you can pull it off, right? And if you can, great. It's always better to work than it is not to work, okay? So, but if it doesn't work, and I have a visual up on my screen now, if it doesn't work and it lasts less than 3 months, or in some cases, less than 6 months, this could actually be beneficial for your disability approval process, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. And the reason is, you might be scratching your head why, but if you think about it this way, Social Security wants to see that you're making an effort. And if you make a concerted effort and say, listen, man, I want to give it another shot, I want to go back in there, and you do that and you document it, and then it doesn't work, you add it to your case file, that's where it can help. So there's certain times to do this, in my opinion and experience. We'll talk about that. But some of the key things are, when you do this, is the documentation. And that documentation would be your own personal documentation, like, what do you feel? Has it changed your pain level? Has it changed your sleeping pattern? Do you have to recover the entire weekend so that you can get back in the game on Monday? Are you having any special accommodations from your work, meaning that they let you come in late, leave early, take extra long lunches, things like that. Those are all important things to document in the process of doing that. Okay. So before I go on to the timing part of this, like when, in my opinion, I think is a good time to do it. Do you have anything else to add to this, Philip?
No, just like I said, be aware of the circumstances of what you do. Do go out if you do get a job. If you're filing for disability and you have back issues, physical problems, and then you go out and get a part-time job digging ditches somewhere, that's not going to look very good. You're trying to get approved, even though it's part-time work or mowing grass, mowing lawns, or something like that. That's extremely physical. You have to be aware of what you're going to do. Although I wouldn't assume that if you have those kind of issues, you're not out trying to do that kind of work. You're more or less trying to go out and get something that's easy.
Yeah, good points. Just be smart about it.
Yes.
Before we continue on this, I see there's a lot of people that are joining us in progress, and welcome to the Disability Digest Live. We're talking about right now unsuccessful work attempts when they're applicable could benefit your case. I see there's some questions in the chat. We welcome you to add more. We'll address those at the end and do the best we can to get your questions answered. So as far as the timing for this, this is my position in 17 years of experience. There's 191,000 people here. Seen lots of different situations. That's where we've been able to gain our experience in doing this. And there's a time to try this that's going to have better results than another. So we covered this last week. It's kind of the expectations of when you get approved and how long. We talked about that. But there's really 5 different steps in the disability approval process. Most go through 3 and end up getting approved. So you have your initial application where you apply. And right now that's taking anywhere from 6 to 9 months, or if you're in Texas or Florida, it could be 11 to 12 months to get a decision. I wouldn't suggest doing it at that stage. The next stage is, if that's denied, you file a reconsideration appeal. It takes another 5-7 months to get a decision on that. If that's not approved, which the odds of it getting approved are pretty low, there's 13% up here, then you've got a long wait until you get a hearing. Nobody looks at your case, hasn't been assigned to a judge. There isn't really anything that you can do to influence this. So you're waiting for a hearing. And if you're going to test work in the ideal situation, that would be a time to do it, because you've been out of work for a while because you've applied, gone through initial and reconsideration. And you're going to do that. So, I mean, if it happens to coincide with a holiday job where you're going to work for a couple of months and that's going to be about it, then, I mean, that's another way to look at it. You could give it a push and see if you could make it work. So that's the timing part. So let's just recap this a little bit. In my opinion, if you're going to work or try to go back to work over the allowed amount, I'd keep your application in place, document as we indicated. And then if you can work, great. Then you can stop your application, you're back to work. Perfect. If you're not, then you have your application in place. You've kept all of the back pay that you were entitled to, and all of those prior months could be worth thousands of dollars. Like 10 months at $1,500 would be $1,500. You can make a simple mistake in judgment, not listening to Philip and I today, and boom, there goes 15 grand. So we encourage you not to do that. So those are some of the tips on that.
Yeah.
All right. So now, Philip, you had some questions that you wanted to ask about going through the approval process, representative, attorney, non-attorney.
Right.
Tell me what's on your mind.
Is it, and I get a lot of these in my Facebook group, is what is what are the pros and cons of hiring somebody to help you file? Do you use a disability attorney? Do you use a licensed representative? What's the best course of action?
Right.
And, you know, my experience myself, you know, as you know well, I filed on my own back in 2012.